Talk to Me is written and directed by Daniel and Michael Filiipou, came out on Friday and has been billed as the best horror film of 2023. So I thought I'd bring Yaz along as we saw this film 2 nights ago.
Go.
Talk to Me. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. So
Yeah.
So what did we think of Talk to Me?
Do we just jump into it?
Just jump in. Just
Okay.
look at these lovely boys and girls.
Right. So I had watched the trailer a few times, so I wasn't going in blind, but I felt it was really unexpected still. It kept surprising me. It did terrify me, even though I thought it would maybe go gorier. But I was happy that it didn't, because my shirt was over my head at that point.
It was.
It really was. I thought it was terrifying. I thought it was really there was emotional weight to the story. The plot was solid, I thought. Until you think back and you see a few holes here and there, but I could look past it because I had a good ride. And at the end, I was shooketh. And I mean, a horror film is only as good as its ending, and I thought the ending was really good. Yeah, I was really surprised, scared, and at the end I felt whoa, that was a good ride for sure. And then I look at Dan and he goes, eh. I was literally just shat my entire pants.
Believe me, I don't like this, Yaz. I don't like being disappointed. All right, I think my issue is I don't like hype. I've seen a lot of horror films, so my taste levels are discerning at this point. And it's not that I'm a snob. I like a shit horror film. Give me Piranha 3D and I'm more than happy. It's a great film.
Okay.
I think the problem is I've been hearing about this film for a long time. There's been a lot of buzz, and in the run up last week, I read and heard quite a few reviews, which was this is the best horror film of the year. In my view, 2023 hasn't been the best year for horror. We've had a lot of films. I just think the quality hasn't been great.
Okay.
So I went into it really expecting a lot, and I probably need to not do that anymore, because I think it just then spoils it. And I think I said to you today, if I'd been at home looking at a streaming service trying to find a film and I'd found that, I probably would have been really surprised and really impressed by it.
And you recommend it to other people,
because you'd be like, oh, this is an amazing film that no one's heard of on a streaming service. Because it's become, I think I saw the trailer for this about 2 months ago, and it's been festival buzz, and then it was an A24 movie. I really, really hyped this up, and there were people that were I couldn't go downstairs in the dark after watching this film because I was so scared. And it's the first time I've had nightmares, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be something amazing.
I get that the hype has soiled your experience somewhat, but isn't it amazing that two directors that came from YouTube Shorts were giving this platform
And I gotta say, I would absolutely agree with you. I actually read a review that was basically this is a really good showcase for what comes next.
Yeah.
And if I look at it like that, I found that actually it just wasn't much of the sum of its parts, whereas the parts that it had, some of the scare sequences, I thought were really good. There was things in there that I haven't seen in a horror film. It was very violent, really gory, quite visceral. I just found by the end I was kind of I found it kind of fell apart.
Okay.
But I think for them as their first film, I am excited to see what comes next. And I will say, I think in a year when we've had a lot of franchises, reboots, sequels, I thought this
original.
It's so original. It's fiercely original. And I think the concept of using exorcism as a party drug was genius. Because I can imagine kids doing that.
100%.
Yeah, in the era of TikTok, I'm of course kids would do that. You get a thrill out of it.
Kids are stupid enough to just open a portal into it.
Yeah, why not? And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I felt halfway through it kind of, I guess this is the problem. I think the first half set up the rules really well. It was the basic synopsis, without too many spoilers, is you hold this sort of disembodied hand for a certain amount of time. You see spirits, and then if you want to, you can let them in, and then they possess you for a while. And then bugbear about horror films at the moment is they can't just be about the horror that's happening. So invariably, this ended up being a meditation on grief, every fucking horror film ends up being at the moment. And again, we've got a teenage girl whose parent has died, and then suddenly the mum is just haunting her whenever she wants, and all those rules about it being about the hand, it then just became a kind of more classic haunting. I guess if you just look at, if I talk about modern horror films versus old, so you look at like Halloween and then the Halloween remake. The original Halloween has nothing to do with metaphors. It's just a guy who relentlessly stalks and tries to kill people, and it's terrifying.
But that's what you like, though.
I know, but then the 2018 remake has this thing about, oh, it's all about Laurie's trauma and her grief. Like, I don't care. Like, just be scary. And you know, I saw the Boogeyman at the end of May, beginning of June. It's the same fucking setup. It's like a girl with a dead parent and a really distant dad, and it goes off into this rabbit hole of grief for her mum, which I just was like, there's so many more things you could have done with the storyline around possession that wasn't the same old shit.
That's not what they're. I think the thing is, you have to just think to yourself: is it believable that? Like, does the plot that they chose make sense? And to me, it makes sense because obviously, like, never in the history of horror films have I seen a black woman make so many wrong decisions.
Oh my god, we can come on to that. She was the worst.
But it made sense because what? She was grieving. So, like, the plot still made sense. But now, like, what I want to know is, do you think this is a setup for a Talk to Me franchise? Because they did leave it open in a way that you could go somewhere with this. There could be other groups of friends. They could come out of Australia. Who knows? Like, in the end, they already did.
Yeah. And I'm down for it. Like I say, I love the concept of it. And in a way, that probably makes me dislike it more because I'm like, oh, you had a really great idea. Like, for a new horror film to come up with something that's franchisable. Like, when Final Destination came out.
But it's good enough that you want to see more. Maybe
absolutely.
The next ones will even, like, get better instead of having the thing where the franchise just gets worse and worse.
I just think you can do a lot with that concept. Because you get the right group of people, the right cast, the right storyline. You can take that story in lots of different ways that isn't just a standard, my mum died, so now let's make this about grief, rather than just make this about possession, make this interesting, make that become the plot. So we were saying, so Sophie Wilde, we both thought was a great lead. And I'm going, although Mia, the character, was pretty much a bit of a dick, that didn't really do anything like particularly great. I mean, she kind of had to carry the film, I thought. And I think she carried it
really well. It was... Sorry, because
she had to suck on her foot.
Oh my god, the foot scene! That was such an unexpected scare, and it was not in your face jump scare. It was like a crawling fucking scare. That was really good. It was one of my favorite bits, and I knew it was coming as well, but it was still unexpected. I thought she was great. She deserves a major shout out, and also the kid who played Riley. His name is Joe Bird.
Riley was awesome. I really liked him. Like, all of his scenes, I thought were brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this scene where he's on the floor, like...
Oh my god.
completely possessed and unhinged, as we are wants to get. And then he was on the floor, just licking blood.
Yeah.
And...
I forgot about that.
It's so disturbing, and he carries it so well. Even when he's playing her mum, which, I mean, for a young boy
really
to
good.
play like somebody's mum, he was fantastic. He was really, really good. I think the acting really carried the plot. It was a solid first one. I think there will be more.
Yeah, it was good, and I think I don't want to rag on it too much. I think there's been a lot of quite derivative stuff this year from the horror community. I don't think it's been a great year, and I feel a benefit of distance has helped me kind of appreciate this more. I just thought it strayed.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think it's a 7.5 for a horror. I'll be all up in that. Yes. Okay. 7.5.
Cool. I'll give it a 6.5. So I think let's even it out with a 7.
Yeah.
Because I think for the originality, for the visuals, for the acting, there was lots to like.
Yeah.
And like you say, potential for a franchise. They could do probably something different next time.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just conscious that I gave Megan 7. I'm like, oh, Megan was so good. So,
you only gave it a 7.
oh, I know. I'm going to go back. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we watched Evil Dead Rise last week, and I gave that an 8. And I'm like, oh, in hindsight, it's not as good the second time around.
Well, at the end of the year, you can do like a.
Oh yeah, this will all get rescored.
Yeah, rescoring.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
2023.
As I say, it was a 7 out of 10. Go and see it. I think it's definitely worth going to see.
100%.
It was fun in the cinema, even though the cinema was a car crash on Friday night.
Oh my god.
There was a couple trying to bring a 6-week-old baby in, and we were like,
to a horror film at 9:30 p.m.
in the UK, we don't do that.
Okay. But anyways, like find a nice quiet cinema and definitely watch it in the cinema because it is an experience that you should you should invest in. Don't
Agreed.
just watch on your phone or at home. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, all. See you on the next one.
See ya.